So we just recall for all other participants. So we have so far discussed about the installation part of Hadoop 1.x. Okay. So here, what are all the things that you need to do? So here, we want to go up with the following thing. So you want to create a virtual machine. You know the concept behind this virtual machine. Do you know all the participants, Gandhar, Google? Do you aware of virtualization? What's the advantage of virtualization? Now currently a technology for called Dockers and containers. These are all the most demanding thing in terms of this architect perspective. Okay, let me start with the virtualization, if not else. Can you please let me know, Google? Do you aware of virtualization and how creation of virtual machine?
Yeah, sir.
Completely you know. Gandhar?
To install a virtual machine or Hadoop?
Both creating a virtual machine and how to configure a virtual machine and how to configure the hardware settings according to our requirement, everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I already did that, sir.
Okay, Gandhar, do you aware?
So setting up Hadoop and everything, do you mean that or something else?
Yeah, virtualization concept behind. Why so? Because here in many environment you need to set up your cluster using this virtualization concept. The concept behind
Yes,
cloud
yes.
is also virtualization.
Yeah, I already have Hadoop 2.0 set up.
No, no, I am not asking for Hadoop. Virtualization, VMware.
Okay, okay.
So to establish a Hadoop cluster itself, you need this virtualization. You need to aware of virtualization concept. It is the same concept. It is deployed in Hadoop. The backend of cloud is virtualization. That's the reason why I am asking for. Okay. Yes. Let me first start with this virtualization concept and let you know. So here Anup and Gandhar, in your profile you have listed this virtualization and Dockers and containers. Those are all the advancement of virtualization. So one of the most demanding stuff today, Docker, container. Have you heard about those things?
Yes, I heard about Docker.
Have you worked with Docker? Yeah.
No, no.
Okay. So here you configure your Hadoop cluster within 3 to 5 minutes using Docker. If you are configuring Hadoop cluster using this VMware, so you can make it at the maximum of 40 to 50 minutes. The same thing, if you do the configuration of Hadoop cluster in cloud, you can make it a maximum of 12 to 15 minutes. It depends upon your internet speed. The same thing, if you go up with this Docker, maximum of within 3 to 5 minutes, you can configure a cluster. Such a powerful. Okay. Let me start with the concept of this virtualization. So because in any interview question, if you say that you worked with this Hadoop cluster and your profile being it is loaded with VMware and other associated things, this sort of questions will be asked. Machine, what do you mean by virtualization? First, my first question is, what is virtualization? What is virtual machine? What are all the major advantages of going for virtualization compared to that of traditional way of setting up your cluster? So in terms of virtualization, what is the difference between a guest operating system versus a host operating system? And what do you mean by hypervisor? What is the difference between type 1 versus type 2 hypervisor? Can anyone can able to answer the above set question so that I need to know to which extent that you are aware of, without looking into any other external support? Can you please let me know the answer for any one of the questions that I have listed here? I have listed around 6 plus questions, 7 questions.
Virtualization is logically existing but not physically existing.
It is logically existing but not physically existing. Very good. Can you let me know
So
who you are? Please, your identity.
Kameshwar.
Ramesh, okay. You got connected through web as well as phone, yes?
Actually, I'm connecting from office. That is why.
Okay, no issue, no issue. Okay, so virtualization is a logical entity. That's good. Then, what is the difference between the type 1 and type 2? What is a hypervisor? Gandha, it is your turn.
I haven't heard about hypervisor.
Okay, very good.
It's
So, well, no issue. Once today's session has been over, you will know what is virtualization and how far it is helpful in our Hadoop, establishing our Hadoop cluster, and what are all the other benefits. We will be discussing this thing now. Gokul, can you please
Yes, sir.
answer for any one of the questions that has been listed? Okay, if not,
Virtual machine is
yes, continue please.
yeah, virtual machine is a one device like virtualization technique. It is not available physically, but we can create it manually in our physical machine. We can create a server, I mean server, storage devices or network using through that. We can have a multiple operating system. We can have a number of systems with multiple OS like Ubuntu, Windows.
Okay, very good. The same thing. Okay, so virtualization means is an abstraction layer that decouples the physical hardware from the operating system to deliver great IT resources. It allows multiple virtual machines with different operating systems to run in isolation side by side on the same physical machine. In this case, each and every virtual machine have its own set of hardware, CPU, RAM, network card, and each and every machine will have its own operating system and its applications running. The major advantage of going for virtualization is two things. One is cost effectiveness. It is highly cost effective. So no need to spend for n number of physical servers. Rather than those servers can be hosted on a single physical server. First advantage is cost. The second advantage is the most important thing as of today's requirement is it reduces the environment hazards to a very great extent. Environment hazards. Today our world is facing with the pollution, atmospheric pollution. By the widespread utilization of these high-end devices, the large amount of heat energy has been dissipated. To suppress those heat energy, we are making use of air coolers, air conditioners, which in turn will releasing chlorofluorocarbon, which is affecting our ozone layer, and as a result, our atmosphere is get caught with lot of pollutions, and we are facing with summer in winter and winter in summer, El Nino, these sort of effects. If you go for the concept of this virtualization, those sort of hazards can be reduced to a greater extent. These are other two core benefits of going for virtualization. Okay, so first let me start with this first part. It is an abstraction layer. What do you mean by abstraction? You might have gone with the abstractions with respect to your OOPS concept, object-oriented programming concept, under which abstraction means hiding some information and letting us know overview of what is happening in the background. That is called abstraction. What it abstracts? It abstracts the physical hardware from the operating system. For what reason? To make it delivering very effective and very full resource utilization. What sort of resources? The resources can be RAM memory, CPU, and so on, so on. Okay, so I will let you know with each and everything and with a small example. And what is a virtual machine? A virtual machine is nothing but a software based computer. Through software, we can create this is like a simulator. If you are going up with a simulator, so you can get a real environment feeling. For example, so if you are going for a pilot training, whether they will permit you to take the training in a live aircraft? No, they won't give you aircraft. Instead of that, you will be given a simulator, aircraft simulator. You will be given training within a small simulator, and the simulator will simulate the environment as if that you are inside the aircraft. So once you got familiarized, and once you know the each and everything with respect to this operating of a aircraft, then only you will be allowed to do a practice in a real small aircraft. So here the simulator's role is to simulate what real physical aeroplane will do. It will simulate the environment similar to that of that you are in the cockpit of the real aeroplane. Similarly, so here to do a simulation of what a physical computer can do, you can simulate a computer through a software, and those computer has been termed as virtual machine. It is nothing but a representation of a physical machine by software. It is a logical entity. It won't physically present, but it seems as if as it is present, you can do all the operations what you can do with the physical machine. Okay, so I will let you know the meaning for both the things with a small discussion. So first let me start with the virtualization. Means in our traditional environment, in our current traditional environment, here you have your hardware, and on top of it you have your operating system. On top of it you have your applications running, application software. Okay, you have hardware. In this case, you have CPU, you have RAM memory, you have hard disk, and you will be having any operating system. It may be a Linux or it may be a Windows operating system. You may configure on top of it either a database server, or you may configure application like mail server, or you may configure a web server, any application, or you may configure a Hadoop server. Okay, anything that you may configure. Here in this case, each and every entity, your hardware, your operating system, your application, all the three components are closely binded with each other. Closely binded with each other. A failure of any one of the components, for example, if a microprocessor fails in your hardware, even though your operating system and applications are working fine, you can't able to access the data. Also because the microprocessor failure will result in the entire failure of the entire system. Your hardware is working fine, your operating system got corrupted. In this case, even though your application and hardware are perfect, you can't do any activity. Also because all the three core components are closely bonded with each other. A failure in any one of the component will be resulted in a failure of the entire system. That is what that we are facing with our traditional approach of establishing a physical computer. Whereas in case of this setup of virtualization, your hardware is completely different from your operating system, and your operating system is completely different from your application. They are not binded with each other. Each and everything will be a separate entity. These hardwares are not physical hardwares, they are all virtual hardwares. Okay, if a hardware fails, you no need to worry about that. You can able to migrate your operating system and application into another virtual hardware. If your OS fails, no need to worry about that. You can bring a OS, or you can move the application to another system. Each and every entity is not binded with each other, so a failure of any one of the component won't affect the entire system. Immediately, those failed component can be replaced. That's it. That is what that it is listed here in the point number 1. It is an abstraction layer that decouples the physical hardware from OS. The hardware, the OS and application are not tied up with each other. A failure in any one doesn't affect the other. That is the first key characteristics associated with virtualization. Okay, so let me make it with the example. Here this is your physical server. Okay, this is your physical server. Let me make it a i5 machine with 8 GB of RAM and with 1 terabyte of storage. Here in your physical server, you are having a Windows 7 operating system. So on top of it, what you have is you will be having your virtualization software. Okay, there are several virtualization softwares. Okay, using this virtualization software, you can create multiple computers. You can create multiple computer on top of it. All the computers are all logical computers. Those computers are called as virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2. In this case, let me make it virtual machine 3. Here you have the operating system Windows 7. Okay, let me make it the operating system. On top of each and every virtual machine, okay, we have a Linux, Red Hat Linux, and here you have a Ubuntu Linux, and here you can have a Windows XP, and you can create another virtual machine, and you can have a Windows server. So these machines are not physical machines. They are all virtual machines. It seems as if that you are working with this physical machine. Okay. Each and every machine will have its own operating system. You can assign hardware. Let me create for this. We have one microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM and 50 GB of hard disk. Here for this Ubuntu, you are going to make it as a database server. For this, you assign 2 microprocessor, 2 GB of RAM, and 100 GB of hard disk. Here you can assign for virtual machine 3, 1 microprocessor and 1 GB of RAM and 50 GB of hard disk. Okay, here for your Windows server, you can assign 1 microprocessor, again 1 GB of RAM, 100 GB of hard disk. Here, each and every machine will have its own set of hardware. Those hardware are not physical hardware, they are all logical hardware. Each and every machine will have its own operating system. On top of it, you can configure needed applications. Here, this machine can be configured as a mail server. This is a database server. This is a client machine. You can configure DHCP server here. Okay, so where the resources assigned to these virtual machines will be got, those resources are from this real physical server. This is a physical server. The physical server is equipped with the i5. i5 means you will be having logically 8 microprocessor, 8 GB of RAM and 1000 GB of hard disk. The operating system on your physical server is called as host operating system. Please make a note. The operating system on your virtual machines is called as guest operating system. Please make a note of all those things. These are all interview questions. Here, the virtualization software that you are using is called as hypervisor. Hypervisor means the virtualization software that you are currently using is called as hypervisor. Okay. Here, can you let me know what are all the virtualization software that you have? We have VMware. VMware, we have VMware EXSI server, a server virtualization software. We have VMware workstation. This is what that we are going to make use of it. Workstation 11 or workstation 12. And we have VirtualBox, a virtualization software developed by Oracle Corporation. We have Citrix. The Citrix is famous for storage virtualization and desktop virtualization. And we have Hyper-V, which was Microsoft virtualization. So these are all some of the most prominently used virtualization softwares. Here, except this VirtualBox, all other softwares, VMware, Citrix, and Hyper-V are paid software. You need to pay for that as a licensed software. Pay in sense, they are all licensed softwares. This virtual box comes with free. Also, you can get this VMware as an evaluation copy for 2 months. You can work for 2 months. After that, it will be terminated. License will be terminated. So here, what I am going to do is, I will share you a link through which you can download this original VMware workstation 11, and I also share you a cracked key. Using this cracked key, you can crack this machine. You can work 24/7 without bothering about this license here. Okay, I will share you those details. So here, you know what is guest operating system, you know what is hypervisor and what is host operating system, and you can create a multiple virtual machines. So how many virtual machines that you can create? You can create n number of virtual machines. It is not dependent upon the underlying physical server. Here in this case, I create a VM and I assign 1 microprocessor 2 GB of RAM. Here 2 microprocessor 2 GB, 1 microprocessor like this. You can create n number of machines. But if you want to run all those machines, there is one constraint here. The constraint is all the hardware assigned to the virtual machine should be less than that of your physical hardware. What is your physical hardware? Your physical server is equipped with i5 8 GB, 8 microprocessor, 8 GB of RAM and 1000 GB of hard disk. So the VM1 is consuming 1 microprocessor, VM2 is consuming 2 microprocessor, VM3 is consuming 1 microprocessor, VM4 is consuming 1 microprocessor. Totally 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. You have totally 5 microprocessor. Similarly, RAM 2, 2 GB, 2 to 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 1, 6. Okay, 2 GB plus 2 GB plus 1 GB plus 1 GB RAM. Totally, we have 6 GB of RAM. What is your total capacity? 8 microprocessor and 8 GB of RAM. Here, while creating this virtualization software, your physical server should be minimum, it should be assigned 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM. So excluding that, the remaining thing, you have the original 8 MB and 8 GB. Once 2 GB and 2 microprocessor is needed for your physical server, remaining you are left out with 6 microprocessor and 6 GB of RAM. Okay, that is the remaining thing. So here you have configured 4 computers here, 4 virtual machines. So the microprocessor needed for the virtual machine is 5 microprocessor, and the hard RAM need is 6 GB of RAM. So you have enough 6 microprocessor and 6 GB of RAM. So what you can do in this scenario, you can able to run all the 4 virtual machines concurrently. Here, each and every virtual machine will behave as if as a separate physical server. Okay. Here, this is your physical server. Let me make it as PS1. You have your virtualization software, using which you can create multiple virtual machines. Virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, 3, virtual machine 4. Here on top of it, you have Red Hat Linux, you have Ubuntu, you have a Windows, make it XP, you have a Windows Server 23, you have a mail server here, you have a database server, you have a client machine being it is a Windows, you have a dynamic host DHCP server. Here more importantly, each and every VM will be assigned an IP address by default 192.100.10.1, 192.100.10.2, 192.100.10.3, 192.100.10.4. These are all the IP addresses assigned. Okay, they are all not physical computers. They are all virtual. That is a logical computer. They are software-based computers. If a user want to log in to a database server, what he need to do? He need an interface like PuTTY. We are going to make use of an interface called as PuTTY. Using this putty, here you have username and you have password and you have this IP address. If the user want to connect to this database server, what you need to do, you want to specify the IP address 192.110.10. You need to have a credentials, username and password. Once you give these credentials, through this interface, it will connect him to the database server. And the user can work with this database server as if that he is sitting in front of it. Actually, he is sitting in front of a machine where he is having this putty. Okay, so here let me imagine this physical server may be in US. This person may be in India, Chennai. So as if that he is sitting in this physical server, will create a virtual machine and you configure the needed operating system and application on top of it. The user, as if he is sitting in front of this physical, this particular Ubuntu database server, he can able to work with this server. So the entire screen will be captured here in this machine. So this is the way by which the user can make a connection with this virtual machine, and the user is highly abstracted that it is a physical machine or virtual machine, it doesn't aware of. It seems as if there exists a physical machine with the opposite configuration for the user, and the user can work with the machine. This is the idea behind this virtualization. If the advantage is, the first advantage as I had specified is, it is highly cost effective. So using one physical server, you can able to create, in this case, 4 logical servers. If you don't use the concept of virtualization, you need to purchase 4 different machines. You need to purchase 4 different machines. Let me make each server cost 1 lakh. 4 server instance, you need to pay minimum of 4 lakhs of rupees. Instead of that, you purchase one server. On top of it, you install the virtualization software. And your virtualization software, what it can do, it can able to create multiple virtual machines or software requirement, and those machines will behave as if as a real physical machine. You can start this server, you can stop the server without bothering about the other server. Each and every machine, if another user want to connect to this mail server, what he can do? He can directly connect to this machine and he can work as if that he is sitting in front of the machine. These are all the some of the advantages of going for a virtual machine. You know the cost effectiveness. So if it is not a virtualization, if you procure all the 4 machines as a physical server, let me imagine if a server cost is 1 lakh, you need to minimum invest 4 lakhs of rupees. Here what you need to invest? You need to invest only 1 lakh for your server. Using this virtualization software, you can able to create all the needed 4 virtual machines. Okay, that is the way by which you can reduce the cost. How it is environmentally, how it is beneficial. If you have a 4 physical server, you want to, these 4 physical server will consume electricity. This 4 physical server will dissipate the heat energy, and because of that you need to have a 4 air conditioner for this server. So the electricity consumption, the heat energy evolved, and the air conditioner used for cooling those servers may lead to a pollution of environment, and it may result in environmental hazards. Now instead of having 4 physical servers, here you have only 1 physical server, and all the 4 machines you have created on top of it as a virtual machine, a software based computer. So instead of the current consumption happens for 4 machines, here we have only current will be consumed only for a 1 server. And rather than using 4 air conditioners, for if you have 4 separate physical servers, here you can make use of 1 air conditioner. Because of the way the environmental hazards has been reduced to a great extent. Okay, now if you look into those points, you may have an idea. So the second point, it allows multiple virtual machines with different operating systems runs in isolation side by side on the same physical machine. We have a machine with Linux, we have a machine with Ubuntu, we have a machine with Windows XP, we have a machine with Windows Server. Each and every machine will have its own set of hardware. We can assign one microprocessor, 2 GB of RAM here. We can assign 2 microprocessor, 2 GB of RAM here. That is what that has been explained. Each virtual machine has its own set of virtual hardware, RAM, CPU, network card, upon which the operating system and applications are loaded. Here we have this machine, a separate operating system. We have a separate application software. Okay, so virtual machine is nothing but software-based computer. Logical computer is called as virtual machine. Virtualization is a technology using which, by using a single physical server, you can able to configure multiple virtual servers. Okay, in terms of the type of virtualization has been concerned, there are two types. One is type 1 and type 2. Okay, in terms of virtualization, we call type 1 as full virtualization, type 2 as para virtualization. So what is hypervisor? The virtualization software that you are using is called as hypervisor. Okay, the virtualization software that you are using is called as hypervisor. In this example, what we did, you have a physical server, on top of it you have an operating system like Windows 7, on top of it you are having your virtualization software. Okay, there is another way, you have your physical server, directly you can configure the virtualization software without any operating system here in your physical server. So here the virtualization software itself will act as an operating system. So this type of hypervisor, the hypervisor is nothing but virtualization software is called as hypervisor. So there are two types of hypervisor. Type 1 means, so directly without installing a operating system, you can directly install a hypervisor. That is called as type 1. In case of this type 2, you have your physical server. On top of it, you will be having your operating system. This operating system has been termed as host OS. On top of it, you will be having your virtualization software. This virtualization software will create a virtual machine. The OS installed on your virtual machine is called as guest operating system. Okay, here your physical server itself, without any operating system, you can directly install the virtualization software using which you can create a virtual machine. This type of hypervisor is called type 1. This type of hypervisor is called type 2. Here this virtualization is called full virtualization. This virtualization is called as para virtualization. Okay, full virtualization and para virtualization. Visualization software is running directly on the hardware. Here the virtualization software is installed as an application on top of an operating system. This is the difference between the para and the full virtualization. Which one is used in a real time? This is the environment which is used in a real time production environment. Why so? Because using a type 1 hypervisor, you can able to create multiple large number of virtual machines. Please make a note of all those things. This is the, I am going to show you how you are going to make use of this virtualization concept in our Hadoop. So we have already discussed that we have Hadoop configured as a single node cluster, and you can configure as a multi-node cluster. Single node means you create one computer, on top of it you install name node, secondary name node, job tracker, data node and task tracker. All the 5 demands can be installed on a single computer. This is meant for learning purpose, not for production purpose. In multi-node cluster, you will be having multiple computers. One computer designated as name node, another one secondary name node, another one job tracker, and the remaining data nodes. To have multiple data nodes. Data node 1, data node 2, up to you may have n data nodes. Okay. So if you want to do a practice on a multi-node cluster, whether you prefer purchasing separate computers, 3 servers and 3 data nodes, let me make it. Are you ready to purchase 3 servers for your learning purpose? Definitely no. What you will do, you will have a server, let me make it, it may be a i5 with 8 GB of RAM, and you install some virtualization softwares on top of it. Using this virtualization software, you can create all these machines as a virtual machines. Okay, you can create all the machine as a cluster of machines. They are not physical machines, they are all virtual machines. In this case, you assigned a RAM memory microprocessor to each and every machine. Being it is i5, you have 8 microprocessor and 8 GB of RAM. What you can do, you create this virtual machine and assign each machine 1 microprocessor and 1 GB of RAM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, you have 6 microprocessor and 6 GB of RAM assigned to this virtual machine 1 to virtual machine 6. Okay, and the remaining 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM will be used by your physical server. This is the setup that you can go for if you have this much of hardware. No sir, I am not having this much of hardware. My hardware is i3 with 4 GB RAM. No issue. Okay, i3 is equivalent to nearly I think so 4 microprocessor and you have 4 GB of RAM. Out of which 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM will be assigned to your physical server. Once again you install virtualization software. On top of it you can create minimum 2 machines. One machine you can make it as a server machine, name node, secondary name node and job tracker. All the 3 can be configured on this machine with 1 GB of RAM and 1 microprocessor. You configure data node 1 and task tracker 1 with the remaining 1 microprocessor and 1 GB of RAM. So this is the setup that you can go for if your hardware is i3 with 4 GB. So it is your choice. If you can able to spend more for your hardware, you can get a machine minimum of i5 with 8 GB. If not else, you can go up with the needed thing. If you have doubt in this perspective, please let me know. Do you have any doubt regarding your hardware? Else, you specify your hardware, I will let you know how to configure. How much of RAM, how much of processor that need to be assigned. Now we are going to show you practically how to create a VM, how to assign this processor and how to install operating system on top of it. I am going to now show to you. Please, any doubt?
Raman, I don't have
Yes,
I'm sure.
thank you. Now we are going to start our practical on how to do virtualization. Okay, where to get this virtualization software? Simply you download. If you are, you can make use of any software. Ours, we are going to make use of VMware. Simply download VMware. It is a paid version. It is a paid version. You can directly download VMware workstation from the VMware site. You can download version 12 or version 13. Okay, so if you want this as a free trial, you go and click on free trial. Now you will get VMware workstation 11 for Windows or VMware workstation 11 for Linux. Else you can go up with this version 12. VMware workstation 12 for Windows or 12 for Linux. I recommend you to go for VMware version 11 for Windows and get a free trial, and you can download the software and you can work the software up to 2 months without any license. After that it will expire. So what I am going to do is I am going to share you a link. Using that link and the cracked key, if you download a VMware workstation, that will work 24/7 cross 366 days. It won't let you down after the end of the second month. Okay, so this is the location where you need to go for this VMware software download. So if you are interested in downloading Oracle, then the Oracle version is VirtualBox. What you need to do, simply type download VirtualBox. This is a free version. You no need to pay for this. Download Oracle VirtualBox. You can download directly Windows host, Linux distribution. You can get it everything. So you can download the needed thing from the corresponding. So Windows host means if you click on Windows, it will be downloaded. So it is your choice, either going for this VMware or VirtualBox. It is up to your choice. I had downloaded the VMware workstation. Okay, this is my software, VMware workstation. I have both the VMware as well as Oracle. You can find this. Where is VMware? Yes, VMware workstation. Once you download and configure, and a desktop will appear, double click. This is the environment, the front screen that you will get. So these are all the computers you can find. Now I have a computer by name Chandran Ubuntu Hadoop. The computer is assigned 4 microprocessor, 4.3 GB of RAM and hard disk of 20 GB. Now you can find another computer, Hadoop Ubuntu. Again it assigned a memory 4 GB, 4 microprocessor. Hadoop single node, 2 GB and 2 microprocessor. Okay, Hadoop 2 single node, 3 GB and 4 microprocessor. Hardened sandbox, 4 GB 4. Anything that you can create. Okay. So for example, here this machine, to start the machine, choose the machine and simply power on the virtual machine. Can you able to view what is our? If you simply click on power on the virtual machine, automatically the machine will start. You can find my underlying computer is Windows. This is my Windows computer. Whereas I am going to start this virtual machine. The virtual machine is a Ubuntu. I will show you what is the way how you can able to switch back and forth between this Ubuntu virtual machine and your Windows server. Yes, I have created a machine with Hadoop as a username and Hadoop as a password. I will show you how to create, no issue. Now I got landed in the Ubuntu. You can find this is a Ubuntu machine. This is a Linux machine. If you type pwd present working directory, you find that you are under home/Hadoop. Okay, if you type ls, it will list all the files. We have here in this machine Hadoop, Apache Hive, both the thing has been configured. The last machine. Okay, so here this is if you want to work with this machine, you can work. So you can create a VI, a file name by RAM, insert, welcome to VM, escape, WQ for save, ls-l. Now it will show that you have created a file at the where, what is the name of the file we have created? VI RAM. Okay. So the time zone here is set as 14th June and 10:40. Let me create another file. VI Tirumala. Insert, welcome to today, escape WQ. Okay, so clear ls-l. You can find a name Tirumala. Okay, which is created correctly, but time is different, June 2 and the time is 10:44. Okay, actually the time is 11:40. So this is the time set here. Here the time is here set as in this machine 10:44. That is the reason why it is listing this. Okay, so here this is my virtual machine. This is my physical server. On top of it I am having my Windows. If I want to go to virtual machine, simply it will simply look like as an icon. If you simply click this icon, I can start this. Similarly, I can start another machine. Okay, here you can start this particular machine, Ubuntu. So this memory is 5 GB. So what you need to do, you can't able to start the 5 GB. Also because I am having already 4 GB is assigned to this Chandran Hadoop. What I can do, I can start another machine with the 2 GB of RAM. Let me check. Hadoop single node, 2 GB. Let I start this machine or on this virtual machine. Also because my machine is Ubuntu grub. Okay, so here are advanced options for Ubuntu. This is a template yet to install. You can switch back and forth across these virtual machines as if that you are having a real physical machine. That is the advantage. Here, Hadoop one single node. I don't know what is the password. Let me check. Probably here someone might have been created. Yes, Hadoop is the password. Now this is another machine. Okay. Now I am having two machines. One is Chandran Ubuntu and another one is Hadoop one single node. Okay. So this is Echo machine 1. Okay. This corresponds to Echo machine 2. This corresponds to machine 2. If you want, you can start another machine. Simply, if you have enough RAM and enough processor, you can start. Now, this Chandran Ubuntu is configured with 4 microprocessor and 4 GB. This Hadoop 1 is configured with 2 microprocessor and 2 GB. Here you can find my machine, underlying machine is a i5 machine with 8 GB of RAM memory. i5 means, as I told, 8 microprocessor, 8 GB of RAM memory. Here my OS is Windows 7. On top of it, I had created two computers using this the virtualization software that I am using is VMware Workstation is the virtualization software that I am using. Here I have created two computers. One by name I had assigned a name Chandran Ubuntu, and another one I had assigned a name Ubuntu. Here for this machine I assigned 4 microprocessor and 4 GB of RAM. And here for this machine I assigned 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM. Total microprocessor 6 microprocessor and 6 GB of RAM. So totally we have 8 and 2 will be assigned for your physical server and the remaining is assigned for another server. My question is, can I able to start? I am having another machine by name. I am having another machine. Okay, you can find. I am having another machine. Can I start this machine? Occupies a Hardened sandbox, occupies 4 GB and 4 microprocessor. Okay, in this case, if I start this, I need additional 4 microprocessor and 4 GB. So whether I am having anything, since these two machine 1 and machine 2 are started, and both the machine is having 6 microprocessor and 6 GB, and 2 microprocessor and 2 GB is consumed by the physical server, and remaining you have 8 microprocessor and 8 GB RAM already assigned. There is no microprocessor and no RAM memory. Okay. So if you want to start this machine, it is not at all possible to start the machine. Also because the machine may be lagging in the hardware. It will permit you to create a machine. You can create a machine with any number of hardware. But if you want to run those machines at a time, then the condition is that the hardware that is consumed by your virtual machine should be less than that of the remaining physical hardware. So you can start this machine, you can start the machine, but you can't be able to start this machine. So this is the machine 1, machine 2 and machine 3. Also this combination, machine 1, machine 2 combination is permitted. Okay, machine 2 and machine 3, that combination is permitted. But machine 1 and machine 2 is not permitted. Also because both the machine 1 and machine 2 itself occupies 4 plus 4, 8 microprocessor and 8 GB of RAM. We have only physically 8 microprocessor, 8 GB of RAM, out of which 2 microprocessor and 2 GB need to be assigned to a physical server, and remaining you have only 6 microprocessor and 6 GB. So, but your requirement is, if you start this machine 1 and machine 2, Chandran Ubuntu, and this machine 3, you need minimum of 8 microprocessors or 8 GB. So you can't able to start the set2 server. So these are all the underlying concept behind the virtualization. Now I am going to show you how to create a virtual machine using the opposite. Okay, let me shut down this thing so that the command for shutting down is sudo init 0. The password is Hadoop. Now I can able to shut down the machine. Yes, good. And then Ubuntu shut down. It occupies 4 GB and 4 processor. Now you can also shut this machine. Sudo init 0. Password is Hadoop. You can set this also. Okay, you can able to shut down all the machine. Now I am showing you. I am going to create a machine. Click on File, New Virtual Machine. Click on New Virtual Machine. And here we have a VMware Workstation 12. There are two options. One is typical and custom. You choose the default option of typical. Next. Here you can create a virtual machine and install the operating system in 3 ways. One, if you have a CD or DVD of your operating system, you choose option 1, installer disk. Else, if you are having an ISO file, you can download the ISO file. If you have an image file, you choose this file by browsing into the window. Here in my machine, I am having the file under the following location: C:\user. Under user, we have a document. B, backup, we have a ISO file by name Ubuntu. My operating system is 14.04. So, else, if you are going to create a virtual machine without installing operating system, you need to choose option 3. Here we are going to choose this particular option, option 1. Okay, we are going to choose this option 2. I am having my source under the following location. So I am going to choose option 2. These are all the 3 possible ways using which you can create your VM. Now choosing option 2. Okay. Next. Automatically the Ubuntu ISO file will be detected if you specify the location. Okay. Here I will show you my file is in the following location. C:, under C:, you have users and you have a user. Now you can find where it is. C:, user, documents and B. Here you can find a folder by name documents. Under documents you have B. Under B you have a backup. You have a backup source Ubuntu. You have backup. You have the source. You can find Ubuntu. Ubuntu, this is the file that you need. Ubuntu 14.04 desktop AMD64.ISO. This is the operating system ISO file that you need. That is what that I have chosen here. Okay, this is the file that I have chosen. Next, now it asks you for a name. What you need to do, you give a Hadoop for all the thing. Name Hadoop, username Hadoop, password Hadoop, confirm the password as Hadoop. Yes. Next, it will prompt you for a virtual machine name. This is the name that is listed here. You can give a name Raman Ubuntu. I give my name Raman Ubuntu Hadoop. Okay, so it prompts me for the location where to store this virtual machine. You can store it in C drive or you can store it in any drive. The condition is that for this virtual machine you need minimum 5 GB of hard disk free space. This virtual machine will occupy 5 GB of space. Okay, so click on next. It prompts you for a disk size. So maximum you can assign any disk. I assign on the default value of 20 GB. Now it prompts for another question. Store virtual disk in a single file or multiple files. Store virtual disk in a single file. Next. Now it will give you all the information. Here the VM containing 20 odd GB, memory 1 GB, and only one processor. The name of the machine is Robin Ubuntu. What I am going to do, I am going to add a memory. So for that, if you want to increase the RAM, by default it assigns only one microprocessor and 1 GB of RAM. I am going to make it as a 4 GB of RAM and 4 microprocessor. How I can achieve this? Simply click on customize hardware. Under this case, you can find a memory 1 GB, processor 1 GB. Choose memory. And here in this right side of the screen, there is a drag. You can find this blue line which specifies you have 8 GB of RAM. What you need to do, you want to assign 4 GB. So when you set this, the value will be changing. Please look, the value will be changing here. So here I make it as 4 GB, 4096. This is 4 GB. Now you can find once I move the cursor to the processor, the memory now changes from 1 GB to 4 GB. Now number of processor, 2 processor. Number of cores, 2. Therefore automatically we have 4 processors. So simply close. Now if you click on finish, you can find your virtual machine starts installing. You can find here a machine by name Raman Ubuntu. It will start its installation. Okay, this is the way so by which you need to create a virtual machine, and here you can the virtual machine is assigned the following thing. Okay, this is the way by which you can create a virtual machine, and you can do the needed things on top of it. Okay, we don't have enough space. Let me make it power off. To remove the machine, click on remove. Okay, I will remove. Also because I don't have any space here. So now you know what is virtualization, what is virtual machine, what is hypervisor, what are all the advantages of going for virtualization. Okay, so what are all the different types of hypervisor, type 1, type 2 hypervisor, how to create your virtual machine, and how to install your operating system on top of it. Okay, so this is the virtual machine setup that we are in need of for our Hadoop. So for our Hadoop, what I say, you want to create a VM, step 1, and you want to install Ubuntu 14.04, or you can install 16.0. It is not Ubuntu, you can install any Linux. Our discussion is with Ubuntu. So at the time of installing, you want to supply a username Hadoop and password Hadoop. This is what that we have so far created. Okay, a virtual machine created and installed your Hadoop on top of it. If you look into my videos shared by me, the remaining thing, step 3, it will perform once you want to start the machine, and the machine will be started in a graphical user mode. You want to type Control Alt plus terminal. It will take you to the command mode. You want to first, what you need to do, you want to update, perform an update. Next you want to install JDK 1.7. Next you want to install SSH server. Next you want to configure SSH key generation. So these steps have been clearly explained in the video. Step 5, what you need to do, you want to download and you want to install Hadoop, and you need to populate 7 configuration files. So those files need to be populated, and for the first time you need to format the name node, and after that you can start the service by simply using start all.sh, and everything is started. If you type JPS, it will list name node, secondary name node, job tracker, data node, and task tracker. This is what that is shared in your video, recorded in your video. So you please go through the video. Our next session will be on tomorrow evening. It will be 5 p.m. IST. So Gandhar and Anu, please be here for the time. I think so it is early morning tomorrow. We will be having session from 5 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. We are going to discuss about this Hive concept. We have started our discussion on Hive. Then here we are going to continue our discussion with all the batch. Okay, so please before coming up, you at least try to go up with this video of Hadoop installing Hadoop 1.x and Hadoop 2.x. The similar thing, similar sequence of steps to be done. If you have any doubt, we will clarify the doubt before proceeding into the tomorrow session. Okay, so is it clear how to, what is virtualization, how to create VM? Gandhar, Gokul, Kameswar,
Yes.
Yes, sir. Clear.
do you have any doubt, please?
Yeah, I'm perfect.
Yeah. Okay, virtualization. Using this virtualization only, we are going to do all our installation for our setup.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Now we have our next session on tomorrow. So I will share you. I think so. I have share you the link. If not, I will share you the link. Whether you have received the link for tomorrow session Saturday,
Yeah, I received Rama.
Sunday, our session will be on morning 8:30 a.m. IST to 9:30, 10:30, 11:30 a.m. IST. 3 hours of session on Sunday morning.
Okay.
For you, it will be 11, probably 11. Okay, so this I will share you the Sunday's class link on tomorrow. So we can meet on again tomorrow 5 p.m. IST. We can start with Hive. So that batch will be clubbed for others. Similar to today's session, we can have another session on next week, another 2 sessions on next week to let you know the multi-node, 2.x and remaining thing. Okay. Do you want to ask?
Okay, Rama.
Yeah. Do you want to